Okay, today we're going to be making another obituary. This time the size is a little bit unorthodox. It's going to be a 5 by 15, and let's just go ahead and get started. Let's get into it. All right, you want to have Canva open, canva.com, or the app if you want to download it. Then we're going to go to create new design, and then we're going to go to custom size. We're going to switch the units to inches. We're going to go for width. We're going to go 15. For the height, we're going to go 5, and then create new design. All right. The first thing we want to do is get a background in here. I want to go with something that's like sort of a marble style. So what I'm going to do is go to Pexels. You don't have Pexels, you can download it through here by going to the apps and then typing in Pexels. So you want to open Pexels, and then Pexels has a bunch of images you can use for free. So we're just going to type in marble, see what pops up. We got a lot of interesting backgrounds going on here. And I think I'm just going to pick this one. And then I'm going to expand it across the entire canvas. Just like that. All right. Now I want sort of like a brownish tone or some sort of warm tone to go with this. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click on this background, and I'm going to click on position, and then I'm going to click layers, and then I'm going to click where it says background, and we're going to change that color to more of an earth tony color, like a brown, maybe even go a little bit darker than this. So let's pick the add new color, and we're going to go into the warm tones over here, and let's shift this over so that we get more of a brown color. And I think that color looks nice. So this is going to be the color of our background, but you still can't see that color yet. So what we have to do now is click on the actual background and then click this transparency button here. Let's put the cursor marker on there. There we go. And we're just going to bring the transparency down a little bit, just so that once we place our words, it'll be easier to read. And I think maybe about 30% looks good. Okay. Now, next thing I want to do, I should have done for step one, is what I usually do, is I want to make guides. So we're going to do a guide every 5 inches. So one right there, one at 10. Now, if you don't have the rulers here, you can go to File, go to Settings, and then click Show Rulers and Guides. All right, so next, what we're going to do is add photos, okay? So I already have my photos ready, I think, in my uploads. So if you don't have your photos here, you just go ahead and click Upload Files, find them on your computer, hit Open, and then you can add them. So we're going to go ahead and plop this photo in here. These are the photos I'm going to be using. What we want to do is cut this photo out. So we're going to click on it. We're going to go down to where it says Background Cleaner, and then just hit, with our photo selected, we just hit Erase Background. All right, now we got our background gone. And what I actually want to do is separate this into 2 photos. So I'm just going to duplicate it. And then for one of the photos, I'll crop out that picture. And for the other photo, I'll crop out that picture. Right? Now this first slide right here, this first square on the right, or I guess the last square, that's going to be our front page. So we're going to have him right nice in the middle there, but we want to frame this picture. So, and actually I have a folder of resources that I created for obituaries, and I'm going to use one of these gold frames that I have, and I'll actually even include a link so you can access these resources. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and pick, I'll go with this one. This one's fine. All right. And again, we need to get rid of this background here. So we'll go back into our background eraser with the photo selected and just hit Erase Background. So now we got the photo cut out. Now we want to have him inside there. So we're going to have to do a little bit of adjusting. First thing we want to do though is we want to put this into a circular frame. So let's go scroll up here over on the right and go to our elements, And then we're going to scroll down to where it says frames and just click the circle frame. If you don't see it, click see all, and you should see it under basic shapes. It should be like the first, one of the first ones to pop up. So we just click on that. Okay, and now we want to put this photo into the frame. But as you can see here, we have another problem. So what we're going to do is reshape the frame so that it fits in here nicely. We don't want his head cut off. Right? And then we just want to just arrange this until we can get it so that his body fits in here nicely. All right. And now it's just a matter of aligning the layers in the right order. So we just go ahead and click on our layer, drag it underneath, and there we have it. Okay. Now we're just gonna go ahead and put this. We can actually even group these together by click on the frame and then click on the picture and then click this button right here that says group. And then we can move this over into the right space. Excellent. Okay. Now we'll deal with this photo in a bit, but for now, let's go ahead and let's add our text. So just like most funeral service programs, we're going to have like in loving memory or celebrating the life or remembering, something like that along the top. So go ahead and go to our text right here and click add a subheading. We're going to move this up to here and we'll type in celebrating the life of, I always capitalize life. I think it just looks better that way. And we'll make it a little bit smaller. About size 12 seems fine. And let's do a little more of an elegant font than that. I really like Senzel or Senzel. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. So we'll click on that. And we don't want it to be bold. Just something that looks a little elegant. Now that black is a little tough to read. So instead of having a black, we'll just change that color by clicking on this text color button. And a white or a yellow will be good. That looks great right there. All right, one more thing I want to do to this. I want to add an effect to it. So by clicking on the text and then clicking effects, and then we're going to scroll down to where it says curve, and we're going to curve it. Now the curve is too strong here, so what we want to do is just pull that back some, and there we go. Looking pretty good so far. All right, now we need to put his name on here. So we'll go ahead and go to add a heading, and we'll write his name out, his first name. We'll put that down here, and I can see we're running out of room, so we'll do a little bit more rearranging soon. But for now, we'll just focus on adding the text. So we want his name to be, again, a little bit more elegant looking than this. So we're going to click on this and find us a nice font to use. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time searching through fonts. I have some favorites here that I've already used. I'm just going to click on that, make it a little bit bigger than that, maybe about the width of the circle or close to. And let's make his name stand out a little bit more by changing the color. I think yellow or gold is a nice color that matches with brown, so we'll go with that. And then we'll also put an effect on this as well by clicking on neon. We'll get it to have that nice little glow effect, and I think that looks great. All right, so now we just need to add his last name, and we're going to use the same text right here, just laid out a little bit differently. So we'll duplicate this, bring this down, and then we'll remove that effect and change this font to our other font here that we're using. And that's a little bit too big. Make it like maybe just a little bit smaller than the first name. And then we'll type in his last name. All right, looking really good so far. Very, very elegant. Okay, let's move that in some. And then we still need to put some information down here. So I'll shrink everything down so that we can fit that. All right. And we'll put Dennis in white, so I think it'll look better in white. Nice. All right. A little bit bigger on that. Cool. So next, usually on the fronts of obituary designs, we'll have the date of the funeral service, the date that he was born, the date that he passed away, and the name of the pastor that's officiating can also go here, and then the location of the funeral service. Okay, so we're going to still use this Senzel font. I think that's a nice font to use. And we'll just put the date that he was born and then the date that he passed away. And this is way too big, obviously. We want to do something like maybe 12 or something like that. That looks good. And then underneath, duplicate this again, put the pastor's name and the date of the location of the funeral service. This is a little too close to the edge to me. So we'll pull that up some more and maybe even give this a shrink just a little bit so that everything fits nicely. And that's it. We got our front side done. Now we can move on to this portion right here, which will actually be the back side. So now we're going to go ahead and put our scripture. And this scripture can be like, anything that's appropriate to the service is fine. It doesn't have to be this exact one. And then we'll list our pallbearers. Pallbearers is usually 6 pallbearers. Sometimes there's more. Sometimes there's honorary pallbearers. And then the acknowledgements is like basically, just a thank you. So I'll add that here. A thank you to everyone who came to the service and who helped put the service together. And then the location of where you can view Deshaun here, funeral home, and the address of that. And that's pretty much it for the back. Now, if you want, you can add photos. You can even squeeze this down and add a little bit more information, like a poem or something like that. But I'm just going to go ahead and keep this nice and clean on the back side. All right. Now, this next spot right here, we still don't want to use this just yet, but I don't want to delete it. So what I'm going to do actually is go ahead and get our next page started. We'll just duplicate this because this photo is actually going to go on the inside. So remove it from here, and then we'll remove all of this stuff here for the back, then remove all of this stuff here. That way we got a head start here on this other side. But for now, we're going to go ahead and do this last page right here. And this page right here is going to be our tributes page. So I'm going to go ahead and just write tributes here at the top. Our tributes are going to be like special messages from close members of the family. So the wife, the children, stuff like that. So what we're going to do is first we'll have a photo here of his wife. So we're going to go ahead and add another element, circle. And we're going to bring that circle over here, shrink that down a bit. And we'll add a photo of his wife in here. Put that in there. Maybe we don't need a whole full body shot. So maybe just like, so we can see her face a little bit better. We'll go with that. And then we'll add a stroke border to that. So we'll go ahead and maybe border weight of 2. And the color can be like maybe a light, like a beige sort of color. That looks good right there, I think. And then next to it, we'll write, we'll have room for her to leave a special message form. So we'll put that right there. And then we'll just repeat this for the rest of the family. Now, this white it's a little bit difficult to read. It's not crazy difficult, but just in case it doesn't show up the way I would like in a print, I'm going to go ahead and make this brown even darker. All right, looking good. Okay. So now we can move on to the inside. All right, so this first flap right here, this first section is going to be the actual obituary. So we want to have his photo here, nice and large. And then we're going to put the text of the obituary right next to him. And the text will just be something like, the life of and his name. And then the obituary, the body of the obituary can go underneath that. So put some placeholder text in right there. For this middle section, we'll do the order of service. We'll have a nice fancy font here for order of service, something that's consistent with the rest of the design. And then we'll have the actual order of service go underneath. But what I want is like a main text for the name of that section of the service. And then I'm going to put a name underneath for the person that's going to be presenting that part of the service. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and fill that in just like that. Right? That's clean. So for this last section here, I want to have something that I don't typically see in funeral programs, but I'm just going to have a few lines of text here that person who's in possession of this funeral program can write their own personalized tribute, much like how these are going to be printed out. But this section will just be for whoever has that copy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to elements, and then I'm going to go to our shapes, and we're just going to select this rounded rectangle shape here, and we're going to expand it across. And I want to use a color that's a lighter color because they're going to be writing onto this area. And I also want to have some lines where they can write, in a straight line. So we're going to go ahead and go back into our elements, and we're going to go to shapes and pick this line right here and just simply move it over to here. But our line is too long, so we have to go ahead and pull it in some, rein it in. And I think that line is also too thick. So I'm gonna go up here to line style, drop the line weight to about 1, and change the color to a darker color so that it's easier to see. And maybe make this a little bit longer. And we'll just put like 5 or 6 lines here where a person can write something. So we'll duplicate that, move it down, and then another, many as we can do. That'll fit into this area. And it's a little off center, so I'm gonna just go ahead and highlight everything, go to align elements and click center. And then at the top, I'll put, if Deshaun were here, what would you say to him? Right? Again, I just think this is a cool way to get, some type of closure when you're at a funeral service. So the next thing I want to do underneath is add some photos. So we're going to go ahead and go back into our elements, go down to our frames, and we'll just pick this rounded square, shrink that down. Maybe we could fit about 8 photos here. So we'll put that there, duplicate, make one right across from it. Then another duplicate and another. And then we'll just select all 4 of these, duplicate that, and bring this underneath. All right, so now we got a nice small photo gallery here. And I'm gonna go ahead and just fill this in with the photos. All right, now we got our family photos in here. And we're almost done. It's looking pretty good so far. I just want to make it look a little bit more elegant. So I'm just going to add some flowers. And to do that, I'm going to go back into our resource folder here. And I'm going to grab a set of these yellow roses. They need to be cut out. So we'll go back into our background cleaner and just erase that background. Okay, now that the background's erased, let's make it a little bit smaller. And we want to fit it in between, like right here. That looks good. And it's just a little too yellow. And this is a cool feature that Canva has where you can change the main colors of a picture. So I'm just going to bring this color up a little bit more so that it's not so yellow. And I think that looks good right there. And then we'll duplicate this and put one on this side here too. But to stop it from looking like an exact copy, we'll just go ahead and flip it horizontally. Okay, there we go. And now we have our funeral program design. So I appreciate you guys watching this. If you got any questions, you can leave them in the comment box below. And if you're wondering what sort of paper you might want to use to print this out, I have a video on different funeral service paper types that you can watch right here. Once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.